Hello again, it's me. Just to share with you a few more of my musings on difficulties in your job and getting your life better. Just for a couple of minutes, 5, 6 minutes or so. See if I can pull it all together. I hear a lot about from people who are in catch-22 jobs where somebody has unreasonable demands upon them. Basically, there's a lot of people in their job, in their work, customers, management, who have unreasonable demands, expecting something for nothing, where they keep customers or keep somebody happy by providing something of a certain quality at a very low price, and they don't control where it comes from or how much it costs. There's only so much they can do, and they still have targets, and you can't lower the price of something without reducing the quality and without getting somebody else unhappy. They don't make the things in China, and they don't know how much they are somewhere else, and they don't really have. A lot of people don't really have the controls, the levers, in order to do what they're targeted and pressurized to do in their job, what I'm calling a catch-22 job. And if you don't do it, if you're in one of these jobs, if you don't provide something for nothing, I suppose, then you're in a lot of trouble. So there's a couple of things you can do about it off the top of my head. One is maybe you can pick 5 things to stay on the radar screen of top management. Maybe you can get promoted out of the trenches. Well, that's going to take a fair amount of time. Or maybe right now you can get your head in the right place, get your head and your heart sorted out, see the alternatives, see what controls you have, and what actual levers that you can pull. I'd like to, at this point, just go down a little bit of an alley and just talk about habits, brain chemistry, and biology for 3 seconds. It'll give you something to talk about when you're down the pub or your next dinner meal you're having out with somebody. I'd just like to talk quite quickly about the limbic system, particularly the amygdala, which is a very old, very ancient part of us. It controls an awful lot of chemicals. It's part of the reward and avoidance center. It gives us dopamine every time we do something that's comfortable or safe or satisfying. Eating or doing something we habitually do or very often always have done, watching our favourite film. And it gives us a lot of stress hormones, most notably adrenaline, in order to protect us, which is part of the fight or flight response whenever there's a perceived threat. And it takes the amygdala about 1/40th of a second to recognise something as potentially unpleasant or a threat. Sadly, this can be, what can it be? It can be panic, anxiety, self-doubt, emotional hurt, anything uncomfortable. As soon as the amygdala picks up that we might be doing something that might involve fear of failure, that's another one that really fires off the amygdala. Then actually, there were originally physical threats, but now they're more sort of internal threats, personal threats to our emotions and how we feel. Something's going to possibly make us feel bad in the future. It distracts us, it entices us away. There's lots of research propping this up, showing this to be the case. As soon as there's something uncomfortable we even want to think about, I'm worse than anybody. I need to check my phone. Am I hungry? I'd like to have a snack. What's on Facebook? I really haven't checked my emails. I ought to go off and do that. Anything to distract us, to interrupt us, and make me go off and do that instead. I'd just like to make the point here that distractions, interruptings, not being able to sit, distracting ourselves, jumping from one thing to another, wanting to, I'll just do this in a moment, and then of course we don't do it. It's all connected. Our own procrastinations and not doing things and why we don't get on to do things is very much connected to the panic response, to the fight and flight response. It's a perfect example of this is how many times have you been in a meeting or been in a situation when you've been asked questions, been asked to answer something, been asked to do something, And then an hour later after it, suddenly, oh, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I do that? I can tell you adrenaline was involved, your amygdala was involved, you got rushed, you got a load of adrenaline dumped in your bloodstream, and we can't think and we can't see. We can only focus on one specific threat when we're stressed, when the amygdala, when the adrenaline's starting to flow. And everything else, the bigger picture, having altitude on a situation, just goes out of the window. The more rationalizing part of our brain is not automatic. Prefrontal cortex takes several seconds, 3-4 seconds to actually kick in, and we've got to make it kick in, which some might explain a lot of our behavior in a lot of situations. Hope that makes some sense and helps. So back to right now, getting your head in catch-22 situation. You're at work, there's a lot of unreasonable demands on you, you're going to get stressed, there's going to be an amygdala response, you're not going to come up with the answers. So deep breath and start getting to the habits of rationalizing, engaging your prefrontal cortex, and what are your alternatives. I'm going to suggest one good way is stopping you feeling so trapped. If you should be unpleasant a situation to be feeling trapped and stressed and, oh, I just have to put up with this, is know your alternatives. Are there mutual employee-owned mutual companies doing the same sort of thing, or jobs where you have skills and you can work? Are there cooperatives and cooperative corporations doing the same sort of job where you're skilled and you can go off and work in your same sort of area? Look it up. Are there quite large companies that are still run by the original founders, who are quite nice people? They have a good rep. You can look them up on the internet. Are there smaller companies? Even if right now you don't want another job, you're thinking he's talking rubbish, I don't want another job, I've been working on this job, I want to be promoted in this one. I'm going to suggest keep an eye out. Make it, from now on, you're just going to keep an eye out from the other alternatives. You're going to ask people you know who will know what the alternatives are. Just keep an open mind about it. Yeah. Anyway, what else was I going to say? Find out what the alternatives are, and also if you can start saving or have savings to keep yourself going for 3 or 4 months, that would be phenomenally beneficial. Hope some of that was useful. I think I've run out of time. For the next video, I'll go into 5 ways to stay on the radar of top management, so you can get yourself easy ways that are going to improve your job chances, whatever happens, to stay on the radar screen of the management and people above you and such like, to either go up or sideways or somewhere out of the trenches into a better, more comfortable position, somewhere where you'd rather be. I'll discuss that next time. Think I missed anything? What didn't make any sense, or made loads of sense? Put in the box, put in the comments what you found most useful, what you find most useful in future, anything I did or didn't cover, and I'll speak to you again in a couple of days. Thanks very much.